Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken heart and soul consciousness. Come journey with us exploring the meaningfulness of astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sue Rose Minahan, Talk Cosmos, and today is the 11th of January. We're right in the middle. We're moving ahead in this illustrious year. We're focusing here on the two moon major cycles, and most interesting, the new moon in a week on the 18th is in Capricorn. That's our mastery of leadership, essential direction, and then looking ahead into what Leo manifestations might we have that are going to blossom. It's not opposite new moon to full moon, such as it has been. It's been 6 months on this pattern. We're nearing the end, but other changes are happening, and we're going to get right to it because now we're in the second week. This in 2026. Now on the second week is always going to be the new moon and the full moon, our lunar beats, we could call it. Yeah, without a name, but a little bit of a sideline. Okay, we're ready. Get started. Thanks.
Talk Cosmos explores the journey from the dark new moon to the full moon's blossomed brilliance. In this second week of the month, we look at the moon, our emotional anchor, as this personal planet weaves the past into the present through our memories, feelings, and habits. To decode this month's lunar beats shaping our world, let's meet the astrologers who will connect the moon's emotional story to our lives here on Earth.
I'm Sue Rose Minahan, founder of Talk Cosmos since 2018. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, consultant, speaker, writer, vibrational astrology student, Dwarf Planet University graduate, Kepler Astrology Toastmasters Club charter member. I have a fine arts music degree plus a certificate in jazz. I'm an artist, musician, and certified color energy life coach. Especially, I love mythology and esoteric philosophies.
I'm Amanda Pierce. I'm a soul-centered astrologer, blending intuition into my practice. I believe the universe is always working for our highest good and seek to empower my clients in our readings. I teach a 4-week series of empowerment-based meditation classes that connect you deeper into your own intuition and innate power. I work in communications with a passion for employee experience. I also have a BA in psychology. I'm passionate about healing and enjoy helping others create new realities and shift old paradigms.
And like the Sufi poet Rumi says, you are the entire ocean in a drop. Hello, Amanda. Happy New Year. Here we are.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. Wow. It's, we're the energies are shifting and we're in that soup right now.
Yeah. I brought my spirit animal, the tiger, as you can see, just this moment, I'm deciding we're going to walk with him and
Beautiful.
See how he works. And to let our audience know, John Chinworth will return. He has a family situation. He is unable to attend today. But with that said, last we heard he'll be here next month because next month is going to be like a rocket. 2 eclipses, the fire horse, and the conjunction between the outer dimensions of what we know and what we never will know. Okay, so it always says like a chock full of stuff. Yeah. We'll get right to this. Let's begin with the snake here. It's ending. It's a wood snake. It wants to communicate. It wants to network, which goes along so well with Pluto that is right in Aquarius, looking to that changing because the groups change. How we feel about them, what their purposes are, how they're aligning with the outer world, the inner world, etc.
Yeah. And, there's been a lot of talk about, 2026 is year of the fire horse. Well, we're not quite there yet. We still have this wood snake to deal with for another month and a half, month plus at this point. And the snake moves slowly. It's about evolution. And there is this kind of Scorpio essence to it where it's, we're shedding the skin, we're transforming ourselves. And that has been what the 2025 snake year was, there was a lot of change for a lot of people and a lot of letting go of old patterns or whatever baggage has been holding you back. And we're doing that in preparation for this fire horse year, which is going to be fast paced. And that is supported by the astrology. It's supported by the numerology. It's all aligning with this. So we'll talk about that, I'm sure, a little bit as we go.
Oh, good. Well, I would love to jump in if you have a word about the numerology, because or do you want to wait? Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So we're in a universal year 1. Last year, 2025 was a universal year 9. And so that was endings and closings as well, which really aligns with the snake and letting go. Mm-hmm. And so there's a little bit of overlap here. The snake year doesn't end right on December 31st. There's an overlap where we've shifted from that 9 into the 1 year, and we're waiting a little bit until we shift into the fire horse, which is going to align with that 1. So there's this overlap. Perfect. And we're in this kind of liminal space, And so let's talk about a 1 universal year.
It's leadership.
Yeah. And it's a seeding point. This year is a seeding point. So
like the new moon.
Exactly. And so it's fresh starts, new beginnings, but also like a new moon, you don't always know exactly where you're going. You're still we're still in this orientation
you have the
period.
Plan. It's like a chart, but in a sense, it's very much like pioneers going anywhere eons ago across the oceans or across the lands into new territories, et cetera, et cetera. It's a real exploration.
Yeah. So it's normal not to know where you're going quite yet. And it fits with the astrology. It fits with the Lunar New Year. We're not there yet. We're still letting go.
In fact, I just listened to Colin Bedell. It's a New York astrologer, really a dynamic person. He's going to be at NORWAC there in Seattle in May. He was speaking about the aliveness, that unknown constitutes aliveness, and that Jean-Paul Sartre, pardon my pronunciation, but he really said, who's a great existentialist French philosopher, is saying that if you feel safe, you get freedom, and that equals aliveness. So, and safety is within. We are living in uncertain terms. And I think when you were speaking about that, it made me realize, what can we know? We can know that we are familiar and trust ourselves with uncertainty, that we know how to hear ourselves and be able to make those choices as we go ahead, which is something I'm going to talk about next week with Man's Search for Meaning with Courtney Goldstein. And so we're, for Talk Cosmos, I'm really moving into more conversations that embrace the purpose and meaningfulness of astrology with what's happening, such as we're talking about now. So I'm so glad that you bring in these other factors.
Well, I love that you mentioned that safety is internal, because so often we think it has to do with our surrounding. And let's not dismiss, certain situations where, yes, your external may be dangerous and you absolutely want to get out of it. Absolutely. But we have this illusion sometimes that, a 9-to-5 job is going to be safe, and maybe owning a house is your way to safety. But things can happen, houses burn down.
Well, if nothing
Layoffs
else,
happen.
it changes your choices. It could be that a person needs to experience travel or moving,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
and so these things, it could be a security, safety, but it's time has been spent. And this snake skin, because I spent a lot of time trying to refocus on Talk Cosmos, and this is now going to be our lunar experience. But yet by lunar, it's also our emotions are tied in with the world. We're talking about whatever comes up in a certain way. Well, because we're just exploring, we'll find out. Yeah, let's go ahead. Just as a reminder to folks, or grounding, I suppose, there are 8 phases traditionally looked at, and it's between the sun and the moon and the earth. And we're focusing on the new moon, when the moon and the sun are at the same degree, and the sun is blocked by earth. See there? Anyway, the light. So let's go ahead, and it will be, the dates will come up. Just to review what's retrograde, not much right now. Hygeia ongoing since summer, and I think all year. I tried to find out when, I don't know. But retrograde, because she's out of bounds too. Retrograde will stop on Valentine's. And Jupiter is retrograde, and Uranus. They're still in Cancer and Taurus. Jupiter will stop on March 4th, and Uranus will go direct on February 3rd, because as we know, it's going to conjunct Saturn. So the details people can see, but now we have Saturn and Neptune in Ceres all going straight ahead. So we're still reviewing the big picture of belief patterns and what's happening in the daily purpose, and what's our mental well-being with Hygeia. Maybe we should talk a little bit about Hygeia, because she is out of bounds, an asteroid right there between Mars and Jupiter in Gemini since after Christmas and until April 7th. That is Talk Cosmos' birthday, actually. But it's mental well-being. What are we telling ourselves? Is it negative? Maybe we need to, not maybe, but we need to remember our stories. We have the power to tell how we want to see things, our perspective.
Yeah, Hygeia is about our hygiene, like what's our mental hygiene, emotional hygiene, spiritual hygiene. And so with Gemini is so much about the mental, and there can be so much mental chatter that this is the Hygeia in Gemini is really about like calming that mental chatter and maybe not giving it so much weight in our lives. Not everything that we say to ourselves is true.
It's good point.
Not. Yeah.
You get locked. Yes, that's
you
right.
You get locked in it. And especially if there's any negative self-talk that comes in where you're disparaging yourself, not true, not necessarily true. So we want to be sure that we are holding ourselves in a loving place as much as possible and calming that mental chatter and not letting it run the show.
Trust is big. And I think really remembering here, I see as a reminder, because that moon during a 10-year span, which we're within, it fluctuates going out of bounds and in bounds, which is beyond 23 degrees and 26 minutes for people to know. It's the latitudes of the tropical Capricorn and Cancer. And at this point, it is slightly out. So emotionally, we could be overreacting to ourselves. Mountains and molehills, right. So it is important to think, keeping it in perspective, but also I'm working with the idea of trusting. If you trust yourself, and I know I keep talking about this, but trusting that the universe, as I've been hearing, is abundant. Ultimately, it wants our best. It is looking out for us.
Well, and that's such a great mantra to hold for yourself this year as we're moving into the fire horse, because fire horse is fast movement. And for some of us, for those that have earth and water mainly, that may be very uncomfortable. And because earth and water wants to move a little slower, but the pace is going to start to pick up once we get into fire horse, and once Saturn and Neptune are conjunct and then fully in Aries. And we've got lots of planets moving to Aries and, or into air and fire this year.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It seems the best part of it is Gemini loves new information, and that information can change our personal story. Jupiter is in Cancer. That's how we make our emotional stories. And what you're saying is, if not everything is true, we have the ability to change it because perhaps we see it from a new perspective, and we're realizing more trust, more love, everything. Mars and Venus are together, all these astrologies. Well, here we have a
curious. Curious is a great Gemini word.
I am so grateful every time I hear it. Thank you. I have a little caption here. We have this group with the sun and moon with Mars and Venus. They're all conjunct at Capricorn, tight. And we have another energetic pull where it's connecting in a flow with Uranus. But meanwhile, back in the water in Pisces are still Saturn and Neptune. So this is a little bit of a graphic that's showing that they're all working together, but they have different ideas and they're working. It's a long time. It's called a mini grand trine. On the other hand, the Capricorn is dispositor is Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces at the very end. It moves into Aries in February. And I wish I knew the date here. I have it. But at any rate,
it's a couple days after the eclipse, I believe. So after...
No, because it conjuncts. It's got to be before the eclipse. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can look
it has
that
to
up.
be. Yeah. I think I could too. All these details. Well, the point is, it's interesting to think that the dispositor is connecting. A sextile is at 60 degrees where you're connecting. You're like, oh, what do you think about this? Oh, I see that. Oh, let's work with this together. And actually, it's dispositor of all the Capricorn. There's a big stellium. There is not only the sun and the moon at 28 degrees at the very end, because they're in this 6-month period of 28 degrees. I think Steve Judd was saying he doesn't remember seeing it before. It seems like last year it did, but I have not stopped long enough because I'm trying to trudge along with the changes to double check that, but it will end and then it doesn't return. So here we have it. We've experienced the whole new moon. Well, we've experienced the archetype. And then just like a full moon, it seems to me a strange paradox. We're at that point where we make that invocation. We've gathered everything that at the point and it's like, oh, okay, I think that's what the structure is and the essential business of like in Capricorn, what I need to do for my new moon invocation or prayers or vows or whatever you want. And then boom, we start going into a whole new dimension as the sun and the planets start moving into the next.
It is like we're on the cusp of a new dimension, isn't it? Yeah. We're in like this portal energy. So we've got all of this Capricorn energy here.
Even with Juno.
And with Juno. And, Capricorn wants to get down to business. It wants to get moving, especially Mars and Capricorn. It's so good at getting things done. But we're still in this kind of like murky energy with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And the waters feel a little muddy. It's hard to get moving. We're still in the snake year.
I think, would you say that the reason for that is time? When you speak of Saturn in right now, or not the Saturnian Mars. Thank you. Mars and Saturn. It's very time oriented because it has a goal. It has actions. Mars is instinctive and it says, "Oh, I've got this to do." Boom, the next thing. And its time matters, I think. However, where you have Pisces involved and it's the whole womb of unity and togetherness, the boundaries are changing. And that's essential, I think, besides the fact that the North Node, our destiny, is in that limitless sense of potential of unknown factors. Time is having a little bit of a struggle, like, wait a minute, how do we figure this out? And that's a learning process.
And Pisces is timeless. It's oneness. There is no time. It just all is in the moment. And Saturn in Pisces conjunct Neptune, like the ultimate of that Pisces energy, that's all ruling this Capricorn that we've got going on.
However, again, yes, with what you've said brings forth another way to remind that we are really, it's not all us. It's channeled energy coming into us. However you want to look at it, whether it's source, universality, however you consider God if in your language. But we get signs and signals and directions from so many sources. It could be from your little puppy dog. It could be from the billboard. It could be a book. Here we have, it is, I think, more with that, the patterns are asking us, how are we networking, building, connecting? What is working in our best interest and what is a way? Because there's this, with the new moon, it's solidly working with what we said, just the conjunction itself with Mars and Mercury.
Well, and I love this mini grand trine that you've got up here, all the blue lines together. I feel like the way to really work with this is to take all of that Capricorn ambition, which is like, it wants to get moving. We're in the 1 year. We can feel that. We want to get moving. We're not quite energetically, the rest of the universal energies are not quite there yet. But to kind of take that ambition, that Capricorn ambition, and use it to work on that dream, to propel forward the dream, like to start dreaming into and intending what it is that you want to bring into your life this year and where you want to go, and to do it with like visioning, vision boards, dreaming, meditating, whatever works, in bringing in that Pisces energy that way. And with doing that, we're also bringing in new insights and development. That's part of the Uranus piece that we're feeling in this mini trine as well. We may not have all of the pieces of what we want exactly. And to kind of dream this in is that Uranus is still bringing us some gifting there. Like, what are the pieces that are going to help us break free from whatever patterns we're done with.
Yeah, networking, I think, is a huge part of it. Like, how are we looking at our immediate community? How is that fulfilling us? Where can we find meaning and purpose involved with it? Because there's the world wants action. The soul wants action. Life is evolutionary. There's always action involved. And it's certain with moon, it's a dichotomy, you could say, because it's processing always. It's going from one phase to the next. And there's a certain, one needs to really work with that flowing business, but it gets to a point where suddenly, however it works in your chart or your life, that if you want to make a stand, you want to
yeah, and I think for like this new moon period, it may just take a little bit of time for us to kind of get there. And
But
the networking may not happen like right away. It may like be.
Oh, that's true.
You know, it may like start. We're in this period where we're starting to seed what we want, and so to really think about, okay, what are my connections? How can I connect to the people that are going to, you know, move and shift things for me?
But haven't we made choices? I know, like, I really worked on how to restructure Cosmos as an example, and now I'm doing it per week. I had panels, which was wonderful, wonderful people, and some of them stayed, and I no longer have the archetypal symbols panel. They have another show. Both Liz and Justin are wonderfully involved with Liz's YouTube. You know, you can find them there. And they may come back. We've just trying to figure out, because I have 2 weeks now that I have open for guests. And I don't have a whole agenda of guests, but it's processing. So if I look at this mini grand trine, I'm setting up a new structure. I have some open space of unity, but it's working on more of an immediate basis. You know, people and thoughts and ideas. It's not quite. And I think you're making changes too that are beginnings, they're seeding, but how it's all going to work out, we don't know yet. And I think that could be the big adjustment, because we're used to figuring out, oh, I put this and this together and I'm baking a cake, or, oh, I've got croissants, or no, it's going to be a pita bread, or maybe I'm making a pie, or it's going to be a stew. You know?
Yeah, especially at the beginning of the year, January, people are setting their New Year's intentions and resolutions. And and I think those can start moving. I just think at this new moon period, it's more about feeling it and intending it forward. And it all depends on the individual person's chart and how it interplays with the energies, you know.
Thank you. I love that, Amanda, because it is dark. The new moon doesn't have light. It's down. The seeds are waiting. And we have to actually take a break. And we will have the full moon that perhaps will illuminate a little bit more. Did you have a last thought there? Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say, you know, everything that we're saying here is not written in stone. It all depends. Like, each individual has their own energetic interplay with what's going on in the cosmos right now. And so it can show up a little bit differently, but we're talking about the overarching for the majority of people. And then, you know, it's a bell curve.
Good.
Some people are going to be on the outskirts of things.
I wish I had a bell. Doing, doing, doing. I'll see you in a moment. Stay tuned. We'll be back. Thanks. While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the yin period of Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, the furthest visible planet by the eye. By leaving a cycle based on meaningfulness and truth, Capricorn's energy establishes social boundaries in a structure incorporating rules, authority, and ethics. As a cardinal earth sign depicted by a sea goat climbing from the sea up to the top of a mountain, Capricorn overcomes fears through goals and ambitions to achieve mastery.
This is psychological astrologer Dr. Now.Chat. Please join me, Michelle Fleming, and Edja Caleb February 21st through the 28th for Evolutionary Training's annual Goddess Awakening Retreat in Playa El Coco, Nicaragua. Enjoy daily yoga, well-being workshops, melt classes, baby sea turtles, and more. To register, go to mythicsky.com.
Talk Cosmos ignites insightful conversations to awaken heart and soul consciousness with hour-long programs every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific on KKNW. Also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click their like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. You can listen to earlier podcasts since 2018, either on most podcast carriers or under the video tab on Talk Cosmos YouTube. To join our expedition and find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com and launch your week into the cosmic wonder.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to the Ananda Institute of Living Yoga, we cover the world of animals. This week, January 11th, it's our first energy balancing show with Linda Rasmussen flying solo. We'll take your phone calls and talk to you about your animal friends, and Linda will do treatments with you and your animal friends through you. Hope you can join us and plan to call in. Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Ready to shake things up? Try Alternative Talk 1150.
Hi, we are back again, and it's Amanda Pierce at Amanda Moon Astrology at gmail.com. That's how you can get a hold of her. She's a consultant, and myself at Talk Cosmos. John will be back for a few of our programs. The winter solstice is still very current because it's for the whole 3-month period. And we really, Linda Barry, who's a master and educator and researcher, and Rob Passetti, the three of us really had quite a conversation, which might cue into. The Venus Star Point was with Louise Eddington. And that's a signature happening, a point to keep within for the next, I think, 13 degrees, kept it for the next 9 months as a focus. And then we we opened, we celebrated 2026 with Be Your Best Medicine with Melissa Elvira Billington of Australia. And again, it was, so Courtney Goldstein comes from Man's Search for Meaning next week. And then Melissa returns with Dwarf Planet Ixion, To Be or Not to Be. So find your truth next week. And Amanda and I are really talking a lot about this too. There's a moon journal. Dr. Laura Tad has created one that is open-ended. In other words, you can start it at any point. It's not, but lots of guidance. It's a wonderful book, and you can just go to her Mythic Sky and get that. It might be quite helpful as we're going through these tumultuous, exploratory, dynamic times. Let's begin the full moon. That's where they are opposite, moon and sun. And that will be on the 1st of February at 13 degrees Leo. And I will say, because the Capricorn new moon is at 28 degrees on the 18th of January. And I discovered that Saturn will go into or ingress Aries on the 13th of February. So, oh my goodness, it's going to be right on the full moon. No, I'm looking at too much. It's going to be right before Valentine's Day on the 13th. And then Uranus will be in April when it goes into Gemini, but we can push that aside. We're still with Uranus in Taurus. Retrograde, same business, not changing. Hygeia is retrograde in Gemini, looking at our well-being. Jupiter, how are we reforming our emotions and the home in Cancer? And it will go direct on March 4th in a couple of degrees earlier. And Uranus at 27 retrograde, right on my Mars, thank you, will be go direct on February 3rd at 27 degrees. Out of bound, Hygeia, as we were speaking, still looking at our mental well-being. And she is out of bound, I think, for the entire year. So this is a long story. And that's where Uranus comes into focus, because in April, when Uranus goes into Gemini, they will really be working together. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
This Leo full moon at 13 degrees 4 minutes, opposite the sun in Aquarius, Saturn is still in Pisces, sitting there in the water, the captain. But Neptune Now is the camper, the pioneer in Aries, making a fire, heating everything up. So
starting that little campfire that's going to turn into a bonfire as we keep going.
Oh, I love it. We can dance,
Yeah.
sit there and tell stories. I think that's what we ought to have is meetings around the campfires, just like old.
Yeah.
I love that. The full moon, it's illuminating. It culminates. It releases. It is on February 1st. It's going to be Eastern time at 5:09 p.m. The sun is the dispositor. So really the full moon it's so strong because it's there's not a mutual reception, but it is talking to what's across the way. In vibrational astrology, anything that's opposite is just simply wanting to reorganize and work two things together. They don't always let, perhaps that comes along later, but they're looking at that. So in this case, it's the moon. Let's talk about that a little bit. It's looking at the emotional, how to be more self-actualized, yes, and perhaps within. And this,
it's okay. So the full moon is, like you said, it's illuminating. There's greater exposure. So with the new moon, whatever we're seeding at that point, we're going to have more clarity on it, or whatever issues were coming up around it, we have more clarity. And I think it's fascinating that the sun is in a different sign and that's not typical. Typically the sun stays in the same sign, the moon shifts and changes around. But here we've got, the sun has moved from Capricorn into Aquarius. And so there's a shift in our conscious identity from that Capricorn ambition about wanting to build things on the external, being dutiful, kind of mastering your craft or whatever it is that you're trying to get done, to Aquarius, which is more concerned with like innovating and liberating from where we've been. And it's future oriented thinking. And so that's the sun. The moon, who shifted from that Capricorn, which, as we said, it's that same Capricorn energy, that ambition, that external manifestation energy, to Leo, which is really heart-centered. And so really tuning into our hearts, holding what our heart's desire is. This is like, there's an illumination around this for us.
I think
go ahead.
It's very hopeful because truly Capricorn is like within, although it works on the outside. It's that strange dichotomy. And really, if we're taking our plans of what we've tried to, it's an opportunity to liberate, using that word that I love to hear, through community and through networking. And that ability to take that Leonean manifestation, creativity, and apply it within that community or that purpose. Now, maybe one doesn't have, community can change in a very abstract way. It doesn't have to be something that you assign yourself with an online group. It could be a neighborhood in a sense of how you operate within your whole neighborhood, or just who you associate in your mind, who you're connecting with, like maybe one has left a job and yet that's no longer involved. Maybe it's other associations. And when you bring up heart, I'm remembering how perfect, Amanda, because the Venus star point that happened on the 6th of January, which I should remember, I think it was at 13. If it was heart, if it was sun, and it was about 13 degrees in Capricorn. So it was, which anyway, but it's evident. It is bringing that heart into not being so dutiful that we forget how we feel. And when you have heart, you want to feel good. And that's a good thing to do. That's a barometer to say you're on the right path. It's working.
Yeah. And I think we're going to have some breakthroughs around like, well, maybe this dutiful way that I've been behaving or operating within the box is just not, it may need some tweaks, and we're going to have some awareness coming around. Well, how can we bring in more heart and have it be more creative and more playful? Yes. We want to be playful this year, especially with all of that fire energy coming up. If we can keep our playfulness throughout the year, I think things are going to flow with a lot more ease.
Good. In vibrational astrology, they have the quintiles, fifth vibration is playful, but the reason being, it's one of the first behavioral behaviors that work. And it's because you're exploring. Playfulness explores and it's organic. It sort of takes this and it puts that together and it just fiddles around until something gets produced, or you discover something. So I'm really grateful you say that. With this full moon, before we go to a little bit for the next spot, I think Ceres is a big player because Ceres is our personal dwarf planet, between Mars and Jupiter. And she really is, how do we nurture ourselves through grief? And I think I think that's where we're working. That's that point of Thales, as we call, where is trying to resolve that process. There is going to be on a large scale, as we know, not everything is rosy. So just to bring that up.
Yeah. I mean, it's, as we know, it's challenging times right now, and there is a lot of collective grief going on. What I really like about this, though, is that even though they're not conjunct, Ceres and Chiron are quite close to each other. You could technically say they're conjunct. They're within 10 degrees.
Yeah, they are.
And 8
degrees.
And I feel that there is a healing piece here around the grief for us, that we, during this full moon period, that we really can tap into some healing around that for ourselves.
And looking at that factor, it's up there, folks, in the 9th house with Eris, that little arrow going down. It's inclusive, because if we look at what we've excluded from ourselves, or how we've been, or we are being excluded, and reframe how we're going to work with that, it's not instant. But it goes along with the North Node in Pisces of inclusivity, of wholeness, of unity, of what has been isolated to bring back. And sometimes it's ourself. We can look at other people and think, oh, they're so great. And that's called the golden shadow, because we're not quite strong enough or willing for some reason to say, you know what, I can do that too, or I do that too, and to accept it on some terms is so important.
Yes. And I just I love that you said that, because I wanted to bring up something similar to this. It's Ceres and Aries is about the self. And so what parts of our self have we been denying? That have we not been integrating? Have we not been empowered enough to like really bring in? And with this moon,
almost hiding,
yeah, or just disconnected from it. Even with this moon in Leo, and this playfulness that can come in, and this heart center, there's a great potential for us to really reclaim pieces of that, especially as we're moving forward into this year where Saturn and Neptune will both be in Aries. There's a lot coming up here around who are we? What is our identity? What is our, and so
which will be changing. It'll be changing all the time. That's one thing to remember is, I think, coming out of anything that's certain, we get this expectation that we're supposed to know. But really, we're moving into looking at the long term with Neptune in Aries, that's 14 years of redefining through instinctive exploration and discovery new self, new identity, and not just ourself, but the big picture. And I think that's where the necessity is being able to come back to your own center and know what your truth is for you, along with everything else, and not your truth as of 3 years ago, but your truth as of now, so that you can move along with it. Because just looking at this full moon, I had learned, I'm listening to Rick Levine, which you and I have always done, as I lived in Seattle, and he is over there in Redmond and still does his great show for folks that are listening there with KKNW, at least, because we do Facebook and face page and whatever and YouTube. But, it's over there at the cafe. Which cafe is it? I had it on my tongue.
Oh, man.
Soul Food Cafe. So it's the first Friday or I think of the month. So at any rate, but he's also has Patreon. So thank you, Steve. I'm not Steve. Thank you, Rick. Names, Sue. But the learning triangle, long story short. And wow, what a deal. 3 odd combinations, but it's saying that there's a learning process. I love it. There's a flow, there's an action, and there's what's happening, got to adjust business. So here, but you discover it's got a movement. I like it. And which means to me hopeful, right? We're moving forward. We're doing some things. And here it is, the moon, that business that wants to create. It is a full moon, and we are talking essentially, thank you, first person on the stage is that moon in Leo that says, I'm creating, I'm actualizing, I have creativity, could be my projects, could be my kids, could be my ideas, whatever it is. And yet, what are my contracts? Who am I associating it with? And okay, but I have this flow going. I also want to integrate and activating somehow just what we were talking about with series, how to move from grief to nurturing myself and others.
Yeah.
It's a tall order, but it's a...
Yeah. And especially with this square from Juno to Ceres, there's a lot of tension in terms of, well, where have I sacrificed myself in duty to these contracts that I've held? Like, what are these contracts that have been potentially holding me back? And so, like, re-looking at that and coming at it from a playful place. Like, this doesn't have to be heavy, like we always.
That's right. Yeah.
But this Leo moon really wants us to lighten up and be playful and have fun with it. And because we're living in a crazy world, so let's make the best of it. And the more you can get creative and flowing and not get stuck in the muck of it.
And I think the snake year, which I know you bring up especially, since if I might share, you are of the snake year. Yes. Yeah. I'm of the ox. But in astrology, and we will have Jin Ing later in February, folks, and she's going to be talking about the Chinese astrology of it. And so I have heard that there's the branches and the stems. And one of them is that we have a day, a month, a year, an hour, the whole business. So I may be an ox, and an earth ox at that, which I probably need to ground. Probably. Yes, I do. But yet I have a lot of fire in me too, because the other things are fire. I think one's a fire rabbit. I don't know how fiery a rabbit gets, but anyway. A lot to learn. Point is, yes, keeping to the focus here of that snake as we illuminate, culminate, because it's really moving forward. In just 2 weeks, we're going to have 3 weeks on the 17th, the new moon again. But so we're letting go of traditional, exploring boundaries, pushing beyond. We're on the edge. I'm using words that you've done, beyond the status quo. It's really engine that we're getting on board the way we can. Some of us must be with the captain and some are in coach, wherever we are on that train.
Yeah. This is really our last opportunity to embrace this snake energy and to shed those skins that just aren't serving us anymore before we are off and running with the fire horse. And we want to be as free as possible on that fire horse. We don't want to be carrying it, any extra baggage. That's going to slow us down, and that's going to make it a more challenging year. So it
is.
Yeah.
You said in a way it's sort of muddy right now, right? And muddy, the lotus comes out of the mud, and mud is very healing. You put it on your skin, it takes out the toxins. It's mud is where, between the ocean, any river, so it's part of our life, but it is messy.
It's like this primordial goo. That's what it feels like, this primordial goo that we're in. And it's equivalent to like when the caterpillar is in the cocoon and it's getting all gooey, and it's going to transform into this butterfly that moves freely and can move quickly, but we're not there yet. We're just kind of stuck in this cocoon, but there's so much that we can still do from this place.
Let's see what we have here with the USA. We have about 4 minutes, and the music will come on at some point, and we can talk a little bit about it. Now, for those, I put them side by side because I have here the USA natal 1776, July 4th at 5:10. It's a Sibley chart that has the ascendant at 12 degrees Sagittarius. And on the outside, on the first one, is going to be the Capricorn new moon that was going to be in a week on the 18th of February. And on the right-hand side is the Leo new moon, which is February 1st at 13 degrees Leo. And interestingly, and I also want to bring up this wonderful astrologer, Colin Bedell, just a powerhouse fellow. And he referenced Jean-Paul Sartre, as I was saying, this French philosopher, that aliveness equals safety plus freedom. His mantra was, put that on the wall. So I thought, okay, I'll listen up. Because part of it is, with Aries, it is that instinctive catch. You kind of feel it. And I think part of it is releasing with the Virgo. I mean, I got a lot of Virgo in me, and I have to learn, don't get caught up, or wait, Sue, instead of getting caught up with the logic, oh, this supports that, just go with the instinct, see what happens. So I did. And I think it really relates. Aliveness, safety, freedom. Here for the U.S., this new moon is powerhouse on top of our natal Pluto. We had that return about a year and a half ago, for a long period of time. And what we're happening now in Aquarius, as it's going through the actual years of the revolution. And so we're refocusing a lot of things. But that is the name of the game, I would say, is that Mars activating, we're learning, between Mars and Mercury, trying to think things through, this transformational energy. And then it shifts over to the full moon where, at best it would be Ceres, our north node, okay, what's happening? Why do I have that?
Transiting north node is conjunct the US's natal Ceres, correct?
Yeah, but I have something weird because the north node should be in, it is. It's my brain. I'm sorry. Am I that dyslexic? I saw it upside down, but it is a north node. Thank you. It's just down at the bottom of the chart. Okay, I don't have to do anything. It's fine. Yes, the north node. So we're doing where are we having unity? Where have we been ignored? Pisces. What's happening? What's the illusion? What's the imagination? And it's a learning triangle. Anyway, a lot happening there.
Yeah. We'll see how it plays out. It's interesting that the new moon has all of that Capricorn energy and the full moon has all of that Aquarius energy. And, there's been some civil unrest coming up in the U.S. of late. So we'll see how that plays out, if that's that astrology shows up.
Yeah, our South Node is in Aquarius. Well, so much for that. That's just here, and we're working with a globe more so, and ourselves. So thank you, Amanda Pierce.
Thank you, and everyone have a great month.
Yeah, second week. May your focus be within. We're in that yin time, still Capricorn, where we can start working with all energies and have curiosity, feel good. Blessings.
Thank you for joining this vibrant and insightful conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her guests awaken consciousness by connecting heart and soul consciousness patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.